Hello everyone, and welcome to the University of Florida Online Bachelor of Arts in Criminology and Law webinar. My name is Pauline Cashane. I'm a University of Florida Online Enrollment Coach. We're excited to share with you some information about this program today, which is 100% online. We realize some of you may be attending on your lunch hour, so the presentation will last a total of 45 minutes. 35 minutes presentation and 10-minute Q&A. If you have to jump off, please know that this is being recorded and will be sent to you via email within the next few days. Before we get started, I'd like to review a couple of things. If you're having any technical difficulties, please use the chat box to your right and send those issues to the host, and we'll do our best to try and troubleshoot. If you have any questions for the Q&A portion, type those into the Q&A box and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the session. Here is a brief overview of the topics we will cover. So starting out, we're going to talk generally about the University of Florida and then about UF Online. Next, I'll be handing over to Dr. Lovett, and she will talk about the BA in Criminology and Law, a program overview, skills students learn in the program, curriculum overview, and what students do after graduation. Then I'll come back and I'll talk to you about tuition and financial aid, student levels, where do I fit in, application steps and deadlines, and we'll have the Q&A session. I'd like to take a moment for a couple of brief introductions. As I mentioned before, my name is Pauline Cashane, and as a member of the University of Florida Online Enrollment Team, I'm one of the enrollment coaches here to answer any questions you may have about the program and help you determine if it's the right fit for you. Your enrollment coach will then be with you every step of the admissions process to help you get started. I'm also joined today by Dr. Laura Levitt, an Associate Professor of Criminology in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Dr. Levitt will share with you some information about what you can learn in the program and how this program can set you up for the future. Hello, Dr. Levitt.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure. So, some information about the University of Florida. The University of Florida, UF, is among the nation's most academically diverse public universities. We have an enrollment of nearly 50,000 students annually, and UF is home to 16 colleges and more than 150 research centers and institutes. We are regionally accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. That means that your credits will transfer to other regionally accredited colleges and universities. UF is consistently ranked among the nation's top universities. This year, we were number 14 in U.S. News and World Report's top public national universities, number 13 in U.S. News and World Report's best online bachelor's universities, and we were number 3 in Kiplinger's best values in public colleges. If you'd like to know more about the university from an insider's perspective, I do recommend that you check out our student reviews online. Now, the UF Online, exactly how does it work? Well, you can earn your bachelor's degree 100% online. You can study and take courses from wherever you need to be. And at the moment, we have 11 bachelor's degrees in this format. Our classes are asynchronous, so you can log in at any time of the day or night. You can earn your degree at your own pace, either full-time or part-time, and take between 1 and 4 classes per semester. 3 classes is usually considered full-time for financial aid purposes. You would earn the same career-changing degree as residential students, and you'll have some of the same faculty as the campus students. The only difference in your degree is the delivery method. Your diploma and transcript will not state online. They will be exactly the same as the ones awarded to the residential students. Now, although you are an online student, you're not alone. As a student, you'll be supported by an assigned academic advisor who will help you to choose courses and plan your degree, and a program coach who will answer your questions and guide you through the program. Now, at this stage, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Dr. Laura Levitt to talk more about the Bachelor of Art in Criminology and Law. So thank you for joining us today, Dr. Levitt.
Thank you again for having me. I'm happy to be here and share some information about our program with everybody logged on today. So what I decided, or what I wanted to do in the time that we have together today, is really just go over the program quite generally, talk a little bit about who our students are and what they do after graduation, and then talk about how you would spend your time here at the University of Florida as a U.S. online student. Excuse me. All right, so to start off, the basic goal of our program is to help our students in their study of criminal behavior, criminal justice systems, and law. I put up here on this slide our mission statement for you for the program. The Criminology Law and Society program strives for excellence in the generation, dissemination, and application of interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary knowledge in the areas of crime, justice, law, and their relationship to society. And our mission statement really captures what makes our program unique compared to other criminology programs. We make a concerted effort not only to educate our students in the basics of criminology and in the core principles of criminology, but also we step outside that discipline to approach the study of crime, justice, law, and their relationship to society from other perspectives. So in that sense, our degree is really a multidisciplinary liberal arts perspective in the study of criminology and law. And what we find is that it makes our students competitive in more than one field. So we're not just a tunnel to a particular occupation within the criminal justice field. We actually find our students doing multiple things after graduation and being more competitive because of the interdisciplinary nature of the program. And the faculty actually reflects that interdisciplinary, I think I just made up a word, interdisciplinarity, as well. The faculty comes from all sorts of different perspectives. So I myself am actually a psychologist that studies legal type issues in the law. So most of my research on the dissemination of knowledge portion looks at how juries make decisions or how eyewitnesses pick people out of lineups, how to select a jury, those types of things in the criminal justice system. We also have a social ecologist, we have sociologists, historically we've had anthropologists and historians, and so really what the common core of the faculty at the University of Florida is that we have criminologists, of course, but then we also have people who approach the study of criminology from these different fields. And so it makes for a really exciting degree and a really interdisciplinary way of thinking about this field of crime and justice. So if you could please flip to the next slide. So who are our students currently? We have almost 700 majors total in the Criminology and Law program. 540 of those majors are on campus, and about 50 of those majors are actually dual degree or double majors. So these are people who not only have a criminology focus in their major, but also maybe are coming from psychology or from sociology, another complementary major going on at the same time. We have 129 students currently enrolled in UF Online. So you can see if you decided to enroll here at the University of Florida in UF Online, you would not be alone. You'd have many people that have gone before you in this program, even though we're a relatively new program. The major is what we call an upper division level major, which means that most of the courses are targeted toward the junior and senior levels, what we call the 3,000 and 4,000 level classes. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't count some lower division level major classes toward the major, or lower division classes toward the major. In fact, you can count up to 6 credits or 2 classes of lower division credits toward the major. But most of the classes are coming from a more advanced perspective. And so usually at the beginning of the career, the student focuses more on general education and taking a few criminology classes, and then really focusing in on the criminology classes during the last 2 years of the career at UF. Now, we do encourage students, of course, to take those classes, take criminology classes throughout their career here at UF. And so you certainly have those available to you starting at your very first semester. Now, many students are students that tend to be very bright in criminology, which, of course, as faculty, we enjoy immensely. Many of our students earn honors upon graduation, and I just put up the stats here for the last 2 semesters. In the fall of 2014, we had 30 students that were eligible for some form of honors, and then in the spring 2015, we had 53% of our students who were eligible for honors. And honors is determined in a couple of different ways. The most basic level of honors, so cum laude, or is determined by GPA. So you have to have a 3.5 GPA or above. Magna cum laude and summa cum laude are reserved for those who complete honors theses within the department, which is an opportunity that we've done a pretty cool job, I think, of making available for our UF Online students. So if you could flip to the next slide, please. All right, so skills that you will acquire in the major. And these skills are really taken from our academic learning compacts, which are what we use to evaluate how well we're doing in educating students in the major and how well our students are getting information out of our classes. And so these skills, I'm going to go ahead and run down and elaborate on each of them a little bit, but they're assessed both in the classroom and then through an exit exam during your last semester here at UF. And that exit exam is part of the graduation requirement. Usually what we do is we'll send out a study guide helping you review the information that will be on the exit exam, which you've already been tested on and learned in your classes. And then you take that test in the last month or so of your career here at UF. So the skills you'll acquire in the major. So first of all, we would like our students to be able to successfully define and describe the criminal justice system, the interrelationships among its components, and their fit with society. And so this is really understanding the criminal justice system at the most basic level. So understanding what that is, understanding the different components of it and how they relate to one another, and then, of course, how they fit within the other social institutions in our society as well. I should say, too, as a sidebar, these skills, these academic learning compact skills, came about after a few faculty meetings where we got together as a faculty and determined what it was most important for our students to get out of the major, and then also what we wanted students to be able to learn as a result of taking our classes. And so it's really coming from the faculty that this is what we hope to accomplish in our classes, or what we hope you can accomplish in our classes. All right, so the second one here is to define and describe the legal institutions, the law, and their interaction in society. And a lot of this particular objective is really covered in one of our more introductory classes, Law and Society, which I actually teach. It's actually one of my favorite classes to teach. And basically in that class, what we do is we look at how the law affects the way our society is shaped. So we see examples throughout history all the time of the law changing and the law being really the beacon of change in our society, and then society somewhat falling into line after that particular initiative in a law. But we've also seen lots of examples of the law lagging behind society and where society has already kind of evolved to. And so it becomes this kind of back and forth, ebb and flow relationship between the law and society, where where the law can affect society and vice versa. Society can affect the legal institutions that we use in our system. And so really this objective is designed to help to ensure that our students learn about that interaction, learn about those nuances that's just more complex than how you create a law, what's the impact of a law. Asking those simple questions, it helps you look beyond that and think critically about those interactions. The third objective here is to analyze theories of crime and their implications for programs and policies to reduce crime. And really we tackle this objective mostly in our criminological theory class. And in this class, I think it's one of the most interesting that we offer because basically what we do is we look at all sorts of different perspectives and different ways of thinking about crime and thinking about why people commit crime. What affects when people are going to commit crime? What happens? What's that initial thing, that initial event that puts someone on a path to committing crime? And then when do they desist? Why do they desist committing crime? You know, most people, when they start committing crime, it happens in late adolescence or in adolescence, and then they desist sometime in their late 20s, most people. And so it's interesting in this class to look at exactly what those risk factors are, why it happens. And actually, one of our emeritus professors is actually responsible for developing one of the most accepted theories, one of the best theories in criminology, which is kind of awesome because I feel like I work with a rock star. But he developed social learning theory, which looks at how our social interactions and peer groups influence how people commit crimes. And that's a very, very simple way of summing it up, but you'd learn a lot more about it in criminological theory. And it's neat because in the department we've all got to learn about it from the master, from the person who invented the theory. The fourth objective here is to interpret and evaluate research in criminology, law, and society, and exhibit proficiency in the techniques used to conduct such research. And so here, really what we want you to be able to do is to become consumers of the science, to be able to read a scientific paper about crime, why someone commits crime, or how an eyewitness best can pick someone out of a lineup. And I say best because we want an eyewitness to be able to pick out the perpetrator if the perpetrator is in the lineup, and to not pick out an innocent suspect if, in fact, the suspect didn't commit the crime. And so you learn how to read the first source science material that will enable you to better apply that science in your everyday jobs and in your everyday lives. And so this is mostly accomplished, well, we talk about science, of course, in every single class here, or talk about the science in every single class here at UF in the criminology program, but the skills are really honed in our research methods class. And that's where you really learn how to interpret, how to be critical of, and how to understand and apply the science that you're reading. And then lastly, the last objective here is to communicate ideas clearly and effectively in an accepted style of presentation. And again, this is mostly assessed in our research methods class, where you learn how to not only interpret and apply the research, but also conduct the research yourself, and then communicate the findings of that project or of that research to people in general. And so in that sense, you're really developing a well-rounded perspective in the field of criminology, learning the basics of the criminal justice system and of why people commit crime, and then taking it a step further and learning how to really generate that new knowledge as well in the form of science. All right, so if you could flip to the next slide, please. There we go. All right, so I wanted to give a little bit of an overview of what classes students take in the program, what our curriculum looks like here in criminology. And students, excuse me, our major is 34 credit hours, which of course is part of the 120 credit hours total that you need to graduate from the University of Florida. So 34 of those credit hours at least will come from taking criminology classes. Now, within the criminology classes, you need to earn at least a C in each course, and all of these courses are currently delivered online. And we're working really every semester to develop more and more courses for the UF Online program so that you have a breadth of opportunity really in choosing what you would like to focus on. And let me talk a little bit about how that occurs. So our major occurs in two, our classes are categorized into two major parts within the major. So first you have your core courses, which you see there on your left, and then you have your major electives, which you see there on your right. Now the core courses are those courses that as a faculty, we agreed that students needed to take in order to really master the basics and the fundamental knowledge that they need in criminology to succeed. Now, and this is where we test our student learning objectives that we went over in the previous slide as well. The first course that our students typically take when coming into the major is Advanced Principles of Criminal Justice. And you can consider this somewhat of an advanced introductory course to the major. It's a 3,000 level course, so it's targeted at the junior level. And most of our students will take this during their first semester at the University of Florida. Another class that students take toward the beginning of their careers here at UF is Law and Society. If they don't take Advanced Principles during their first semester, they're usually taking this one. And this, again, is the course that I teach, looking at that interaction between law and society. And this is really where we start to introduce a lot of the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary perspectives in examining the criminal justice system. So in Law and Society, I have students typically read the first source material from the mouths of people who wrote it in the first place, from not only criminologists, but sociologists, psychologists, anthropologists, historians, all sorts of different disciplinary scholars who wrote about this relationship between law and society. And at the end of the course, my goal is for students to be able to really think critically about those relationships and about those institutions and the interaction between those institutions. Now, the third course that we require of our students in the core courses is Research Methods in Criminal Justice. And I talked a little bit about that on the previous slide. But in Research Methods, again, you're learning how to digest and how to produce the science in criminology. Now, I should say before students take research methods, we do require that they take statistics, and that's not included in our major, but it is a prerequisite for our major. And you can also take it concurrently with courses within the major. I should say, just to clarify too, that the major consists of both the core courses and the major electives. So students to complete the whole major have to complete both the core courses and the major electives. All right, so continuing on here with the core courses, the fourth one here is criminological theory, and that's again where you look at how people commit crime or why people commit crime, what starts them committing crime, what those risk factors are, etc. And we look at that from different perspectives as well. So there's psychological theories, there's many criminological theories, there's feminist perspectives, there's all sorts of different perspectives on why people commit crime in the first place. And then we also have a 3-credit law-driven requirement where students need to complete a law-driven course. And so this is a more traditional, legally focused course. And currently we have 3 of those courses in the U.S. online program. The first is the law and legal process, and that's actually a lower division level course that counts again toward the major. That can be one of those 6 credit hours or one of those 2 courses that can count toward the major that's a lower division level course. And then we also have some 4,000 level courses, senior level courses, that especially our law school bound students enjoy. The ones we're offering right now are juvenile law and then criminal procedure. Now on the other side of the slide there, you'll see our major electives. And the major electives are really designed for students to be able to customize their education here at the University of Florida. Again, we decided as a faculty the core courses give you the essential stuff, the stuff that you absolutely need to know in order to be successful as a criminology major. And then the major electives give you information that help you customize toward what you're interested in, what piques your interest, what makes you go, this was what I wanted to choose as a major. And there's all sorts of different paths that you can take as a student for completing your major electives. Right now in the U.S. online program, we have the class Juvenile Justice, which takes a really in-depth look at juvenile crime and juvenile justice in our criminal justice system. We have Media and Crime, which a lot of students find interesting because a lot of students have a lot of exposure to the media. So you all probably have watched CSI and Law and Order on repeat on FX and all that kind of stuff. And so what we do in this class is we look at how the media shapes our perceptions of crime and shapes our perceptions of who criminals are, what the court does, what corrections, what happens in prison systems. And then we dissect that relationship between the media and crime. So how do those perceptions that are created by the media then affect the way that our public feels about public policy? And what is incorrect about what the media is putting out there? What's correct about what the media is putting out there? And how does it really affect our justice system? Psychology and Law is another major elective course that I teach from the psychological perspective. And in this class, we, again, put on that psychological hat and look at how we dissect different parts of the legal system according to the science of psychology. And so in that sense, topics that we typically will visit throughout the class are things like interrogations and confessions, which of course has been a really hot topic with everything that's going on in the CIA recently. So what's the best way to interrogate a suspect? Well, how are you going to get them to not falsely confess to a crime and give you good information? We look at profiling, which is what a lot of people first think about when they think about forensic psychology, even though it's a little bit more of an art than a science, but we'll still look at it in the class. We look at eyewitness identification, and then we look at what happens once the defendant gets to court. So we look at things like pretrial publicity. We'll look at how the jury is selected, how to best select a jury, and then how the jury makes the decision. And everyone's always wondering about what happened in that jury's decision. Well, we look at that in this particular class. And we look at this phenomenon of wrongful conviction. So what happens when someone's wrongfully convicted of a crime that they didn't commit, and what happens to them afterwards after they've been exonerated? Another one that we're working on putting up online right now is private security and control. We're very lucky here at the University of Florida to have Dr. Richard Hollinger. He's actually one of the leading specialists in the field in loss prevention and in private security. And so he is putting this class together for our majors. Loss prevention is actually one of those things within criminology that a lot of people don't think about when they're thinking about criminology. They think about police officers or attorneys, but they don't really think about the private world of loss prevention. And really, retail theft is responsible for billions of dollars of loss from retailers across the country and across the world. And so most of Dr. Hollinger's work really has been devoted toward looking at the phenomenon of employee theft, of shoplifting gangs, which I didn't even know existed until I started talking to Dr. Hollinger. It's really interesting stuff. And he is putting this course together. A lot of our students actually will find themselves in loss prevention jobs after graduation because they found this stuff so interesting. And then, of course, we have Introduction to Law Enforcement, which is designed to really give our students an in-depth look at law enforcement, both at the local level and the federal level, if that's an interesting path for them or if that's a path that they would want to pursue. Now, one thing, even though you can take major electives in the department, of course, we also supplement what students are able to do as far as their major electives, because we realize that sometimes what students are most interested in actually probably overlaps with what is presented in other departments. And so you can take up to 3 courses of major electives from other departments. And I put up here just a few of the courses that really are available to our students from other departments, because if I put the big list, it would be way too long. We'd be here all day. So the most popular ones that I've seen in the last couple of semesters, the first comes from the anthropology department, skeleton keys, forensic identification. A lot of people, when they start thinking about criminology, they think crime scene investigation type stuff. And this is really where that comes in from anthropology. And so this course can count toward the major, even though it's offered in the anthropology department. The legal environment of business is another popular one with our students, especially those who are interested in perhaps a dual degree in business and in criminology, or who want to pursue something in the business world. And abnormal psychology is another one from the psychology department itself that applies, of course, very well to criminology-type problems, because a lot of times when people get entangled with the criminal justice system, you have some sort of mental disorder issues going on at the same time. And so it's interesting, I think, for our students to get in there and to be able to really be able to explore abnormal psychology and then apply it to the information that they've learned within their criminology major. So you could flip to the next slide, please. On this next slide, I have some statistics for you. We're still gathering better statistics than what we have here for you on what our students are doing after graduation. And especially, we are conducting exit surveys with the ZUF online population as they begin to graduate from our majors to see what their plans are on graduation. So we'll be collecting that data over the next several semesters and then compiling it for future presentations. But right now, here's what I have for you as far as what our students plan to do after graduation. And this is coming from a spring 2012 survey of our on-campus students. And post-graduation, many, as you can see in that top part of the table here, of our students tend to go to professional school. And most of those students are going to law school. So about 50% of our students on graduation reported that they were law school or professional school bound. And another 6% reported that they were going to some sort of graduate school, most of them in criminology. And then 30% of our students reported that they were going into careers directly related to the criminology, to what they learned here at the University of Florida. So these are careers in things like law enforcement, corrections or probation, and loss prevention. And only 13% of our students reported that they were going into a job unrelated to criminal justice. And so it's interesting, I think, to see that most of our students report that they are planning on using their degree and the knowledge that they earned in their degree after they leave the University of Florida and go forth and have careers and jobs and all those types of things. And I should note, too, that several of our UF Online students actually are completing their degree while they're working as well. And so in that sense, they're using their degree to advance in their current occupation as well. And so we see a big trend toward that in our UF Online population. So I will be here during the question and answer session to help answer questions, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Pauline. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Levitt. Attendees, if you have any questions for Dr. Levitt, as she just said, please type them into the Q&A box, and we'll be sure to address as many as we can during the Q&A portion at the end of the session. So the next thing we're going to look at, very important, I know, to a lot of students, is tuition and financial aid. UF has been ranked #1 among the top 20 most affordable online colleges. We have 2 tuition rates: tuition for Florida residents, That's $129.18 per credit hour, and that includes tuition and fees. Tuition for non-residents is $552.62 total per credit hour, and that's tuition and fees too. Now, financial aid is available for those students who qualify. The Office for Student Financial Affairs is the Financial Aid Office at the University of Florida. You can follow this link to get there. It's www.sfa.ufl.edu. On SFA, I'm sorry, having trouble saying that site, you will find information about how to apply for financial aid at UF, deadlines, and financial aid programs. Now, a lot of people are concerned about, what their total tuition will be, and I'm going to tell you it depends. It really depends on the total number of credits you're taking at UF. A typical bachelor's degree is about 120 credits if you're starting from scratch. But if you're transferring in credits, that number may fluctuate based on the number of credits that transfer into the program. The maximum number of credits that you can transfer into this program is 86. Okay, so let's take a look at student levels. Now, there are 3 different levels you can come in as a student: freshman, lower division transfer, and upper division transfer. Incoming freshmen have less than 12 credits or are first time in college. And if you graduated from high school in the last 5 years, you will need SAT or ACT scores. A lower division transfer has between 12 and 59 credits, and you'll be evaluated based on your high school GPA, your college GPA, and trends of success. The university takes a holistic view of applicants based on a combination of academic and personal success. I know that sounds a little confusing, and it's something I would recommend that you talk to your enrollment coach about. Upper division transfer students have 60 or more credits, and it's not necessarily an associate degree. Prerequisite courses, though, will be required if you have more than 60 credits. College credits must come from a regionally accredited school in order to transfer into the program. And as I said, if you have specific questions about this, I do encourage you to reach out to your enrollment coach today. Okay, application steps and deadlines. So you've qualified for the program. The next step is to complete an application. Now, for our summer semester, the deadline is April 1st. That is to have the application completed and all of your transcripts and other paperwork submitted. Your enrollment coach can send you a link to the online application, and you can also visit our website and click on Ready to Apply at the bottom of the page. The website you want is ufonline.ufl.edu. First-time applicants, it takes about 30 minutes to complete your application, but you can save it and come back anytime you like. If you are a freshman, you may need more time to complete the application as there is a short essay component. I do recommend that when you're doing this, you type up your essay in Word and you spell and grammar check and then copy and paste it into the application, because you do want to create the best impression of yourself. The application fee is $30 with a small convenience charge of about $2. And when you do complete the application, I do recommend you have your high school and previous college information available so you can put it in the application form. Your enrollment coach, of course, is available to help you with any questions about the application, and they will be following up with you regularly about any additional materials that are required. So thank you, everybody, for your time today. We're now going to move on to the Q&A portion of the session. So if you typed in a question and it doesn't get answered, someone from our enrollment team will follow up with you after the session. You can reach your enrollment coach on 1-855-99-GATOR or 1-855-994-2867. So we can take a look at a few of the questions right now. Okay, I have a great question here about the tutoring services that we offer. It says, do I have free tutoring services available as a UF online student? I want to let you know we do have something called Smart Thinking. This is free online tutoring provided by instructors and teaching assistants. And with Smart Thinking, you can schedule one-on-one tutoring sessions. We also have a question here about previous college credits and college transcripts, and I would like to pass it over to Dr. Levitt.
Sure, I'm happy to answer that question.
Okay.
So we do expect,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can I read it out to you, or do you? Yeah, okay. What it is I'm curious to find out the following for the Bachelor of Arts in Criminology and Law. Does previous college credits, military transcripts, police academy graduation in the state of Florida, and law enforcement career get looked at, considered, and gain credit towards the degree?
Thank you very much, Pauline. Sorry about that. That's a great question. So transfer students, first of all, need to make sure that their coursework is accepted by the university. So that's the first step. And it goes through the registrar's office and or the academic advising center to first evaluate those initial transcripts. Now, some criminal justice courses taken in community colleges or in police academies, that sometimes gets classified as pre-professional or vocational, and those are usually not transferred into the University of Florida, but most other courses tend to get transferred into the university. But again, that's on a case-by-case basis and evaluated by the registrar's office. And so there's no one-size-fits-all formula for that. Now, we do accept courses into the major as well. So first, in order to get courses accepted into the major, they have to be accepted and not categorized as pre-professional or vocational by the registrar's office. And then we evaluate each individual's transcripts that come through and as they're accepted into the major. We transfer up to a maximum of 12 credits into the criminology major. So of those 34 credits that you need from the criminology major as a part of the 120 overall credits you need to graduate, we take up to 12 credits for criminology courses from another university to apply towards the major. And of those, only 6 of the credits can come from lower division level courses. So freshman, sophomore courses are 1,000 or 2,000 level courses. And then we look at each individual transcript and then determine which classes would be best for them to transfer into the major, especially if they have very extensive experience and very extensive credits coming into the university.
Hello, Dr. Levitt.
Yes.
I have another similar one. I think you kind of answered, but just is there a process to obtain credit through previous work experience or testing? I have worked in litigation support in a district attorney's office and now for a national nonprofit organization specializing in criminal justice reform.
That's a very good question. Currently, we do not offer credit through testing or credit through work experience right now.
Okay, thank you. And there was one more there about the law that they learn. Is it specific to Florida law, or do you review law from across the country?
That is a very good question, and I know that we look at some Florida cases in depth, but that we consider national cases as well.
You can always go back to these too if you need.
Okay. So I have a question here about the post 9/11 GI Bill and Chapter 31, 33, or 35, and I do believe that we accept those. There is a military contact in the university that we could definitely put you in touch with to talk about that. Another question here, is there an option for a BA, MA online? We do not offer that at this stage. And let's see other questions. Oh, a question about immunization records. You do not need those because you're taking the program online. The SAT, what about the SAT? If you have been out of high school for more than 5 years, you do not need the SAT. Another question, how much would I pay for the semester? And the answer is it depends on the number of credits or classes that you're taking that semester. Obviously, as I said, you can take between 1 and 4 classes. And it will also depend if you're in-state or out-of-state. And then there's one I'm not actually sure how to answer. I'm a current member of, is it Phi Theta Kappa? Is there an honors program available for online degrees? Do you know that, Dr. Levitt?
I know that there is an honors society. There's not, the honors program right now is not online. So the U.S. honors program is not online. However, I know that our students can participate in student organizations, and there's actually one organization that's an honor society for transfer students that our U.S. online students have been a part of. And I know that our other honor societies and things are thinking about right now how to offer, how to be able to have an online component of some sort. Within the department, we have the Criminology and Law Honor Society, which I actually advise. They're a wonderful group of students. And right now there's not a mechanism for U.S. online students to be able to participate, but it's something that's definitely on their radar for the future.
Thank you, Dr. Levitt. I actually have one more question for you, which I think you addressed earlier, but I think it needs to be clarified a bit, and maybe I caused a little confusion here. It says, I heard the number 86 maximum transfer credits, then only 12 transfer credits. Could someone clarify, is it 12 criminology and up to 86 general?
I'm not sure about the number of general credits that can come in, but I do know that 12 credit hours can come into the criminology major itself. So a maximum of 12. So then the rest of that 34 have to be taken within the major. But I'm not sure about the maximum number of total credits that you can bring into the university.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That's great. Okay. A few more questions here. I have a question about the access to the library. Do I have access to the UF library? Yes. You are able to use the library if you come on campus. It covers virtually all disciplines and includes a wide array of formats, books, journals, manuscripts, maps, and recorded music. You also, of course, those of you who can't come to Gainesville, which I know is probably most of you, there is an online library available for distance learning students. So there's access to a huge amount of information there.
One thing if I could just append on there, Colleen, too. With the library, a lot of the information that you learn in your criminology classes actually comes from academic journals, and a lot of the research that you need to do is from academic journals. And most, if not all, of the journals that we use here in our criminology classes are available online. So in that sense, you'd have the same online access that any University of Florida student would have from the comfort of your own home, which is lovely.
Thank you very much for that.
Sure.
That really helps. Other things that we have questions on. I have one about the Career Center. Can I participate in career fairs at UF or use the Career Center? And the answer to that is yes, too. We do encourage you to use the Career Center. You have access to all services and activities offered by the Career Resource Center, the CRC.
And one thing, if I could just append onto that, too, with the CRC, a lot of what they do with our UF Online students, or what they've done so far, is actually really cool. So they will set up like a Skype appointment or a video chat with you to be able to do like interview rehearsals, to go over cover letters, stuff like that. And then they also have been really big lately on doing online career fairs. And so that's really for any UF student, online or not, to be able to participate and interact with a large number of employers in an online format, which is actually a lot less expensive for the employers as well, but you get the same connections that they want with our amazing U.S. students.
That's great news about the online. I mean, that's fantastic and very helpful. For another question I have here is, how long does the application process take? Which is always interesting because generally, once you have completed the applications, sometimes what takes the longest time is to get all the transcripts and all the information in. And then there's usually a two-step process for transfer students. You know, first you get accepted by the university, and then your application goes to the college. And again, Dr. Levitt might want to step in on this, but I believe some colleges look at them like sequentially, and some of them save and look at the applications in batches. Is that correct?
That I'm actually not sure, because that happens within our college, I think we have several different majors, and so that application review process happens at our central advising hub. So I'm not really sure how they break that out.
So, if you're interested in the summer, I would definitely recommend you apply now, because mostly they're looked at on a rolling basis. We say it takes 4 to 6 weeks for a decision. Sometimes it takes longer, and sometimes it's a lot quicker than that. So basically, the sooner you apply, the sooner you will get an answer for that one. Some students are asking about a graduation ceremony for online students. The great thing is you can come and actually walk with your class here in Gainesville. We do recommend you come, you bring your friends and family. And even though you're an online student, you're still a Gator, and we welcome you to join this event. So that pretty much wraps it up. I think I do have one more question. If admitted to the program, do you get a UF student ID card to use around the campus if you decide to visit and use services? Which is a great question. I believe how it works is that you do have access to some of the facilities on campus, such as the library. And then for other ones, you may have to, pay a fee to use the facility. So if you lived in the area, like in Gainesville, I believe you can pay a fee to use the fitness center, those types of things. And that just about wraps up our session. So I would like to say thank you once again to Dr. Lovett.
Of course, thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure, and you've been wonderful and very, very helpful. Really appreciate it. I would also like to thank all the attendees for coming and giving up your time with us. We are going to have a recording of the session. It will be sent out to you via email within a few days. And there will be a link to the UF online YouTube channel. So we wish everybody success in the application process. Reach out to your enrollment coaches if you have more questions. And we wish you success in your future careers too. Go Gators.
Go Gators.